Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of For Coffee. It is our Friday news dump. We're covering all the interesting things that are happening right before the weekend, where you'll never hear of us again. Until Monday, at least. Let's go ahead and cover our headlines here. Today on Before Coffee. Body shop stores have closed, but we can't let its product disappear. From Sally Hughes.
And the barge crashes into a bridge in Galveston, Texas. I wonder how the Baltimore mayor and DEI caused this one.
Scientists find evidence of ancient waterway besides Egypt's pyramids.
And we talk about the assault on Steve Buscemi, and we have more weather news.
Cannes 2024. Jury President Greta Gerwig on the Me Too movement and Trump on screen.
Those stories and more, which is 13 separate things, including National Bike to Work Day and National Bike to School Day on May 17th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, let's go ahead and cover our first news story, which is about Body Shop. It is a wellness, makeup, facial, those kind of creams, that kind of place. Deodorant is the deodorant I use is from the Body Shop. But unfortunately, this long-running UK-based shop is closing down. But Sally Hughes from The Guardian believes we shouldn't let the products that the Body Shop sells disappear. The first Body Shop opened in Sally's hometown of Brighton in 1976. It's recently closed along with hundreds of others. They may yet reopen, but thebodyshop.com is still trading. And Sally believes passionately that it should be shopped at and saved. Here are just a handful of the many reasons why. If ethical and sustainable initiatives in retail are now mainstream, it is because the Body Shop made them so. We have to go in the opposite direction to everyone else, wrote founder Anita Roddick in 1992, and that's precisely what she did. The Body Shop's radicalism didn't just change the beauty industry, it changed every consumer industry. It was among the first companies of any type to receive B Corp certification. There are now more than 8,000, an official acknowledgement that it treated people, profit, and planet with equal importance. In 1986, for Greenpeace's Save the Whales campaign, the Body Shop was the first national retailer to transform window displays from selling spaces into billboards for non-profit activism. As a pioneer of ethically sourced, indigenous natural ingredients and fair trade practices, the Body Shop was among the first to audit itself on sustainability, social values, and animal protection, encouraging other companies to follow suit. In 2021, it was the first beauty retailer to adopt open hiring as a way to recruit marginalized people and improve social mobility. This year, it became the first global beauty brand to be certified by the Vegan Society, and its activism against animal testing is widely felt to have contributed significantly to the 2013 EU-wide ban. It has always walked its talk. Sally says that this is a reminder that the Body Shop is not just a beauty brand, it's among the most influential and culturally transformative businesses in British history. Who over 35 doesn't remember multicolored bath pearls, raspberry ripple bath gel, cocoa butter everything, the huge fug of white musk perfume and Morello cherry lip balm in a teenage snog. Sally's not suggesting we rally out of nostalgia or pity. It's about deciding who we are as consumers. And the choice is easy because the Body Shop still makes brilliant beauty products, luxurious fair trade body butters, efficacious vitamin E skincare, creamy banana conditioner you have to resist licking off your split ends, and some of the best cleansers and sunscreens on the market. The Body Shop matters to beauty and to Britain, and it deserves to survive and thrive. I have to agree with this, of course I'm biased because I've purchased stuff from the Body Shop, but I have this really nice avocado lotion that I love, and it does smell good enough to lick. I licked it. It does not taste good. Don't lick it. But it smells good enough to lick. And I also have some nice, more natural scented, for sensitive skin. Deodorized. I keep on pointing over there because it's right there. Here it is. Deodorant I use. This one. It's not too strong. It doesn't give me an asthma attack. It's called Calm. And it has aloe for that nice, sensitive skin. So, we're not sponsored by the Body Shop, but I sponsor you to go out there and support them and still buy from their website if you can't. Because I think they're closing
That's
all their physical
a good point. We should get
locations.
sponsors.
Yeah.
Let's get a sponsor.
I just agree with Sally. Like, it's a great place to buy your stuff, and I've had no problems with it. And I have very sensitive skin. I have eczema, and I've had no issues with it. So, no allergies.
Call them up and see if they'll be a sponsor.
I don't know if they can afford it if they're closing down. They're going bankrupt.
What? No. Oh, okay. Sorry.
But that's my story on the Body Shop. I guess on to yours.
Ooh.
About the bridge. I guess.
Okay. Here's a good story from AP News. Juan Lozano, and maybe we just should start doing fake commercials, right?
Yeah.
Except we don't have sponsors. Just grab anything and endorse it. This segment is brought to you by red light bulbs. Red light bulbs. Have a lot of ugly people in your life and you really don't want to look directly at them? Well, bathe them in red light. And you can't see how ugly they are. Now back to our stories. There you go. There's a good ad. Now, if that was a real sponsor, I don't know. Barge ads. Okay. This is from AP. Barge hits bridge connecting Galveston and Pelican Island, causing partial collapse and oil spill. A barge slammed into a... This is written by... these are hard names. Juan Lozano and Likan Oyakami. Barge slammed into a bridge pillar in Galveston, Texas on Wednesday, spilling oil into water in busy shipping channels and closing the only road to a small neighboring island. No injuries were reported. The impact sent pieces of the bridge, which connects Galveston to Pelican Island, tumbling on top of the barge and shut down a stretch of waterway so crews could clean up the spill. The accident knocked one man off the vessel and into the water, but he was quickly recovered and was not injured. Ports along the Texas coast are hubs of international trade. But experts said the collision was unlikely to result in serious economic disruption since it occurred in a lesser-used waterway. The island is the opposite side of Galveston Island's beaches that draw millions of tourists each year. The accident happened before 10 a.m. after a tugboat operator pushing two barges lost control of them, said David Flores, a bridge superintendent and with the Galveston County Navigation District. That tugboat pilot is probably not going to have a job much longer, I would imagine. The current was very bad and the tide was high, Flores said. He lost it. Okay, maybe he won't go lose his job. Never making excuses for him. Pelican Island is only a few miles wide and is home to Texas A&M University at Galveston, a large shipyard and industrial facilities. Fewer than 200 people were on campus when the collision happened, and all were eventually allowed to drive in the bridge to leave. The Marine and Maritime Research Institute said plans to remain closed until at least Friday. Students who live on campus were allowed to remain there, but university officials warned those who live on campus to leave, and leave should be prepared to remain off campus for an unknown period of time while they repair the bridge. So there's your quick story on that. And also they got a lot of rain in Houston last night, so they're going to be hurting for a while, but not hurting as Brazil, as we're going to cover later. And in a quick story, this is something that happened the other day that we did not touch upon. The actor Steve Buscemi was attacked in New York City. And if you like him at all, one of my favorite actors in a lot of good movies, and he usually dies in almost every movie, like especially Big Lebowski, Fargo, a couple of Adam Sandler movies he's in. And of course, Goodfellas, he was a regular, not Goodfellas, what's the one? Sopranos, the TV show he was a regular on. And of course, he had Boardwalk Empire. This is from Yahoo.com. Finn Hoogenson, suspect ID'd in the assault of actor Steve Buscemi in New York City. Police have identified the suspect accused of punching actor Steve Buscemi in the face in New York City last week. The NYPD identified 50-year-old Clifton Williams as a suspect in the case. Buscemi was punched in the 3rd Avenue near East 27th Street in Kips Bay, Manhattan, around 11:45 a.m. on May 8th, police said. The 66-year-old actor suffered bruising, swelling, and bleeding to his left eye, authorities said. Buscemi was treated at the hospital after the incident, is doing okay, according to his publicist. Steve Buscemi was assaulted in Midtown Manhattan, another victim of a random act of violence in the city, Buscemi's publicist said on a statement on Sunday. He's okay and appreciates everyone's well wishes. The NYPD previously released surveillance images of the suspect, who still hasn't been arrested. I guess they're just trying to find him. I don't know. They know who he is. They got a really clear picture of him. They put it just right here on the internet. And of course, Steve Buscemi, famously, not only before he was an actor, was a firefighter in New York City. And of course, I don't know if you know this, after 9/11, he went down to ground zero with all those firefighters and started pulling rubble out. So, get well, Steve Buscemi. Back to you. Maybe my internet works better now that I closed pages.
It does work better. Sorry, I was eating a sandwich while you were talking. Yeah, I saw that story about Steve Buscemi, and it was just like, why would you punch him? He's like a nice guy. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with people?
Like, yeah, seriously, no shit.
And I hope everyone stays safe in
Houston.
Houston.
Donnie. I hope he didn't say that when he hit him. Shut it.
Yeah. I hope everyone stays safe.
Yeah, they're flooding.
With the rain.
They're going to rain after the floods last week.
Yeah. Don't leave your house, or maybe live on the 2nd floor or something. Right. Our next story is also about water, an ancient waterway. This is on the National Geographic by Tom Metcalf. A 40-mile stretch of long-gone branch of the Nile may explain why the ancient monuments were built where they were. Remember, for anyone out there, we are closer in time to when the Roman Empire existed than anybody is to when the pyramids were built. It was a long time ago. It's not. It's more than ancient. Right. It's double ancient. Okay. Nobody has any written record of what anything looked like back then in, I don't know, 5000 BC, or whenever it was. A very long time ago, okay? So, and it makes a lot of sense if there was a branch of the Nile that got there, because water is always moving, and sometimes it stops and it doesn't come back. And that's exactly what happened in Giza. The pyramids of Giza now stand amid a desert landscape of sand and rock, miles from the lush banks of the Nile. Their modern isolation enhances the sense of majestic relics from a vanished kingdom. But it wasn't always so. A new study suggests the pyramids once stood beside a major branch of the Nile that was swarming with boats. We think this was a superhighway for ancient Egypt, says geomorphologist Eman Ghonaim, a professor of the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Today, 31 pyramids built between the 27th and 18th century BC. Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't 5000 BC. It was freaking 18,000 BC. Are strung along... Oh, sorry, that's not correct. That's centuries. 2000. It was 2000 BC. 2700 BC. Are strung along the foothills of Egypt's western desert plateau. Researchers have long suspected they were built beside a dried-up channel of the Nile, and earlier studies have found evidence of a waterway at different sites. But Ghonaim and her colleagues are the first to map part of its ancient course, and they've discovered it was much larger than they expected, maybe even large enough to move giant rocks. Their study, published today in the Journal of Communications and Earth Environment, describes the detection of now vanished branch of the Nile in the satellite photography of Ghonaim's expert eye and the geophysical verification of its path. The result is a map of a 40-mile stretch of lost waterway between the town of List, some 30 miles south of Cairo, and the site of Giza's pyramids. Only a small, watery stretch still survives today as the Bahr el-Libeni Canal near Abu Sirt Pyramids. But this channel of the Nile was once more than half a mile wide. That's plenty of room in places, and some more than 80 feet deep. The author of the latest study have named it the Ahramat branch, from the Arabic word for pyramids. Ghonaim, who grew up in Egypt, first saw traces of the Ahramat branch about 2 years ago in a multispectral satellite photographs, which display data captured in wavelengths of light that the eye cannot see. He also examined digital elevation models extracted from satellite radar data to determine the heights of landscape features and anomalies. Following her training as a geomorphologist, an expert on the processes that change a landscape, Ghonaim identified signs of the long-lost waterway now covered by desert sands and many centuries of agricultural development. Such satellite data wasn't available before, and so this seemed to be the first time that a significant length of the vanished river channel had been identified. The actual channel itself, the width, the depth, the length, and its proximity to the pyramid fields is something new, Ghonaim says. Egyptologists have developed a rough chronology of the early human development in the Nile Valley. The region transformed from a desert to a savanna-like environment about 12,000 years ago due to a rise in global sea levels after the last phase of the last ice age. That's a lot of water. From around 12,000 to 5,000 years ago, much of the Nile Valley was inhospitable because of high water levels and a swampy environment. What's known as the Wild Nile period, says University of Cambridge geoarchaeologist Judith Bunbury, who wasn't involved in the latest study. People only started entering the Nile Valley after that, perhaps to fish, she says, but by 2700 BC, the various branches of the Nile have become tame enough for the founding Egypt's Old Kingdom, although widespread flooding was still frequent. And that was probably why it was a very fertile land to farm, because it was a swamp. Swampland is the best place to grow anything. There's so much water, there's so much nitrogen, just all the nutrients for a happy plant. Ghonaim says the Ahramat branch must have been an important waterway during the Old Kingdom until about 2200 BC. Knowing more about its route will help archaeologists target and protect important cultural sites. Importantly, the river branch would have allowed boats to ferry construction materials for the many pyramids built at the time. I'm sorry, alien truthers, it wasn't aliens who built the pyramids, it was just good old buoyancy. You can just float it up the river. The ancient Egyptians needed a major waterway to transport very heavy building materials and work to the pyramid sites, Ghonaim says, so they used the branch like a highway. In some cases, the Ahramat branch ran only a few hundred feet from the pyramids themselves. Many pyramids were connected by causeways to the temples on the ancient riverbank that may have been served as harbors. Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they build water around the pyramids? That's what they did in that's what the Mayans and the Aztecs did. They made little moats and channels around their pyramids. Many pyramids were... Oh, we already said that. The vast size of Ahramat branch, revealed during months of geophysical surveys and soil samples at selected spots, surprised the researchers. It was typically more than a quarter of a mile across, and their study suggests it widened at the northern end to form an inlet near Giza. It's a big branch, similar to the width of the current Nile, Ghonaim says, and its proximity to the pyramid site implies a functional waterway of great importance during ancient Egypt. Today, however, almost the entire Ahramat branch has disappeared. The study suggests it started moving east and silting up by about 2000 BC, perhaps from a geological activity in wind-blown sand from the western desert. The researchers found that pyramids built during Egypt's Middle Kingdom from about 2040 until about 1780 BC were built further east than those built during the Old Kingdom, presumably to be closer to the Ahramat branch as it migrated eastwards. They just followed the river. They're like, oh, where are we putting this pyramid? Well, the river's over there now, so guess we're building him over there. But Bunbury thinks that silting processes could have worsened by the pyramid building activities themselves, and that it may have started even earlier, by about 2500 BC. At the time of the Chepsikaf Matsataba, a flat-roofed tomb rather than a full pyramid was built between Saqqara and Dashur. The diminishing Ahramat branch could explain why it was hurried. It was a bit of a minimal job because water transport was more difficult, Burnbury says. University of Marseille paleontologist Hader Seychah, who wasn't involved in the latest study, but she did examine ancient environmental evidence for a water channel near Giza, which may correspond to the Ahramat branch. Jaisha notes that the size and depth of the Ahramat branch challenged some existing theories, such as the idea that the waterway supplying the pyramid sites was narrow and shallow along its lengths, and therefore probably overcrowded with boat traffic. But Go9 believes that the Ahramat branch would have been large enough for boat traffic in both directions. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of like an actual superhighway where you just have, oh, we've got the stone, head back, and here's another boat arriving, and you're just constantly funneling stones in from the quarries. The research team's next step will be radiocarbon dating the remains of plants and seashells in buried sediments to fix ages of the Ahramat branch over time it was in use, and to continue to map the waterway north and the south beyond its 40-mile stretch besides the pyramids. This part of the branch is located in northern Egypt. We still have Middle Egypt and southern Egypt that have not been covered yet. Go9 says, we are going to expand our analysis to see where this branch started, probably near the border with Sudan. So there you go, big breaking news for the pyramid truth, the truth of the pyramids. They just used water, guys. They didn't use higher technology from aliens. There was no UFOs with their tractor beams moving the stones for them. At least as far as we know. Anyways, my story. I think you're muted.
Yeah, it's nice to know it wasn't built by the giant space ark.
Yeah.
Or whatever they thought it was. Well, we don't know, right?
As far as we know.
So we can always speculate. They'll still feed the speculation.
But it seems reasonable to think that the things we've always done are still happening even in the past. Like using water instead of not using water. Water's always been the best transportation for anything. Before we learned how to fly.
We just realized technology's made us lazy and not realize what it took to make all this technology in the first place was hard work.
Yeah. I mean, it took probably 1,000 years to build those pyramids. Elbow grease, as they call it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they dug the Erie Canal, the first American canal, in the 1820s before steam power. They dug it by hand, the giant frickin' canal, all the way from the Hudson River to the Great Lakes.
Yeah, a lot of people
no
over there.
So
hundreds and thousands of people know how to work.
Humans can. Yeah. One shovel full at a time, it adds up. Anyway, let's do some economic news real quick. As the Dow hit 40,000 yesterday, real quick. Friday news dump. This is from Money Watch on CBS News. Anne-Marie Lee. Wall Street advanced into uncharted territory on Thursday with the Dow Jones Industrial Averaging topping 40,000 for the first time after a blowout earnings report from Walmart cast a positive light on the U.S. economy. Once again, Walmart driving our economy. That's kind of scary. The more important messages from it, well, not that Walmart particularly, I'm talking about consumer spending is driving our economy, which is a little close to the edge. We probably should have manufacturing driving our economy, is what I'm saying. The more important messaging from achieving one of these milestones is that corporate America is in pretty good shape, at least that sector, said Art Hogan, a managing director and chief market strategist at B. Riley Financial. It's like getting a gold star in school. Guess what? Things are okay. That's what he says, anyway. Ryan Dietrich, Chief market strategist at Carson Group noted that stocks have continued climbing as the U.S. seems headed for a so-called soft landing, which inflation recedes to more normal levels and economic growth remains steady. Consumer spending and job gains, while slowing, also remain robust enough to stave off a prolonged slump, even as the Federal Reserve pushes back its timeline for cutting its benchmark interest rates. They get out hit its historic mark as Walmart jumped 7% after delivering a robust first quarter results. After hitting a high of 40,051, the index turned lower to close at 39,869, down 38.6 points for the day. As a point of reference, the Dow never even hit 20,000 until 7 years ago. So it's doubled in 7 years. That's pretty good growth, I would say. 100% in 7 years? I think so. These are not inflation-driven results. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon told analysts on the earnings call. Standards & Poor's NASDAQ Composite also rose to record highs before pairing their gains, ending 0.2 and 0.3 lower. So record highs in the stock market all around. And if you own stock, hopefully you got the ones that are climbing, not the ones that are falling. Because it's actually, stock market traditionally trends up, but these kind of gone on a rocket pace lately. But they compared historically. As they say, growth is sluggish, slowed by inflation. And we're going to the news about more awful weather in the world. This is covering the Brazil floods, which have been happening for a while now. We've been late in covering them, and that we apologize. But there's a lot of news to cover. We can't get to everything. This is from Reuters. Lissandra Paraguso. Brazil flooding will take weeks to subside, experts warn. Brazil's southernmost state capital, Porto Alegre, may suffer severe flooding for weeks to come, experts warn, compounding the struggles of 500,000 people forced to abandon their inundated homes. Parts of Rio Grande do Sul state have seen more than 630 millimeters or 25 inches of rain so far this month, National Weather Service INMET reported. More than London's average rainfall in a year. Yeah. It's like we lived in El Paso, they got 9 inches a year. 25 inches in a month, that's a lot. The waters of Lake Guaíba, which breached its banks to flood state capital Porto Alegre, have risen again this week to 5.22 meters or 17.13 feet, well above the flood level of 3 meters and close to last week's all-time record of 5.33 meters. Meteorologists and engineers at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, or the UFRGS, said water levels could stabilize but keep rising if it rains again. They said it could take a month before the water retreats below flood levels based on historical comparisons. The floods have devastated dozens of towns inland from Porto Alegre, where the downtown area remains underwater. In the whole state, the death toll was 149, while 108 were still missing. Some 250,000 addresses are still without power, and more than 136,000 people have lost access to water, state officials said. On Wednesday, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva announced that the federal government will distribute 51,000 reais, or $992, to some 240,000 families which have lost their houses and furniture by historic floods. Ooh, $900 ought to make up for that. I don't know. I got help, I guess. The measure would cost some 1.2 billion reais, according to the government estimates. At Sao Leopoldo, one of the cities affected by the floods, Lula said his administration will bring forward the payment of some social benefits for the state's citizens while planning to buy homes from private sector to give to displaced people. An initial forecast from UFRGS, Institute of Hydraulic Research, suggested that water could take 35 days to return to normal levels based on the previous worst flood in 1941 when it reached 4.76 meters. Tributaries upstream are expected to normalize before that. Lake Guaíba should return slowly to below flood levels within weeks or even by mid-June, said IPH professor Rodrigo Paiva, but he added it will depend on the weather ahead. This may be delayed if it rains more. In 1941, we didn't have the rebound we have now, said IPH hydrologist Fernando Fan. Fernando Fan. He's going to be a celebrity with a name like that. Renewed rainfall over the last few days led to a new rise in the Guaba water level, leading authorities to warn residents not to return to areas at risk. On the roadside where they sought high ground outside the inundated fishing hamlet of Paquita, 25 miles north of Porto Alegre, villagers are watching the water level closely. On May 1st, after 2 days of intense rain, a broken dike flooded the area outside Porto Alegre, where, on Tuesday, only the rooftops of the village can be seen. So yeah, flooding in Brazil as nature just keeps on pouring it on. There's your little news dump for Friday. Back to you.
Nature is naturing out there. That is what it does. Okay. Also, coming up this weekend, I think, or happened Tuesday. Okay. Well, the whole entire Canes or Cons, or however you want to say it, festival started on Tuesday, May 14th. And it's going to continue.
I think the S is silent. I believe the S is even silent. It's Con.
Con! Anyways. That's all you remember.
That's what it is, man. Sorry.
It started on Tuesday, May 14th, and it's going to going on into the weekend. This is from Gerta Gerwigs, the current jury president of the festival, on Euronews Culture. Greta Gerwig and her jury met the press today to discuss their roles as members of the jury, the possible repercussions of the French Me Too on the festival, and if a film on Donald Trump... Sorry, there's a plane driving by. It's landed in the airport. Okay. And if a film on Donald Trump can be viewed objectively. In the 77th edition of the Cannes Film Festival kicked off tonight. It was kicked off on Tuesday with opening film by Quentin Dupuis, Le Deuxième Acte. Beforehand, this year's jury, led by Little Women and Barbie director Gerta Gerwig, participated in the yearly jury press conference. Joining Gerwig on the jury are U.S. actress Lily Gladstone, who became the first Native American to be Oscar nominated for Best Actress for performance in Killers of Flower Moon. Japanese director and Palme d'Or winner Hirokazu Koreeda, whose film Monster was screened in the competition last year and won Best Screenplay. French actress Eva Green, Casino Royale, Proxima, The Three Musketeers. French actor and producer Omar Sy, who wowed us in the Berlinale premiere film The Stranger's Case. Also on the jury this year are Lebanese director and screenwriter Nadine Labika, whose film Capernaum won the Cannes Jury Prize in 2018. Spanish director and screenwriter J.A. Bayona, who recently directed Society of the Snow. Italian actor Pierfrancesco Favino, who starred in last year's Comandante, the opening film of the Venice Film Festival, and Turkish screenwriter and photographer Ebru Ceylan, the wife and longtime collaborator of Nuri Bilge Ceylan. 2014 Palme d'Or winner, Winter Sleep. Asked about various issues that surround the festival this year, from the feared labor strikes, which may derail the festival, and the French Me Too movement, here's everything you need to know about the press conference in key quotes. First, about being on the jury. Let me read these quotes here. One of my favorite things to do is to watch cinema and discuss it. It feels thrilling to be part of it. I'm still shocked to being this year's jury president, says Gerta Gerwig. It's an honor and a complex role, to watch movies, to judge movies, because art is very subjective. It's a challenge and tough exercise because decision can change a director's life. That's from Eva Green. It's a privilege to be here with my jury neighbors. I came relaxed, but I was told that the Palme d'Or can change a director and a film's life, so I thought, shit! The laughing was in the quote. Omar Sy said that.
Oh.
One topic of conversation that had come up was the Me Too movement. With a looming new report of abuse in French cinema, which is meant to be published soon, may or may not have been debunked, but everyone is bracing themselves. When asked whether the situation can harm the festival, here's what Greta Gerwig and Juan Antonio Bayona had to say. I think people in the community of movies telling us stories and trying to change things for the better is only good. I have seen substantive changes in the American film community, and I think it's important that we continue to expand that conversation. So I think it's only moving everything in the correct direction. It's only good to keep those lines of communication open. That's from Greta Gerwig. I feel this issue does not affect cinema in particular. It's much more widespread, and we're here to focus on films. Why does the man have to be like, this isn't important? We should talk about this in general. I don't know what has to do with us. Why does the man have to be the one, the Spanish filmmaker have to be the one to be like, women are women. They're always complaining. I'm putting words in his mouth. Anyways, when asked about the French Me Too movement and whether they were surprised that it was taking longer in France compared to the US, Gerwig added, I can't speak to timelines, but it's evolving. It's not a destination we all reach together. There have been many concrete changes in the industry, and one example is the rise of intimacy coordinators on film sets. I want to be an intimacy coordinator. I wonder how you get into that. I'd love to do that. Do you know what they are? They're basically the ones that make sure everyone who's doing a sex scene aren't being abused by the director, by the makeup person, by anyone, right? Nobody's being taken advantage of. Everyone, if they want their entire body covered so that nothing is shown, the intimacy coordinator will make that happen for you. Because, let's be honest here, film is an illusion. And I don't know when we stopped thinking that, but it's always been fake, guys. Film has always been an illusion. Smokes and mirrors. So,
I thought the coordinator would be somebody who just keeps people really excited about their fake sex they're having.
Yeah, right.
You know, sit there with a squirt gun of ice cold water and shoot it on them. I don't know.
Exactly. It's messed up.
My stupid idea. Anyway.
The topic of the number or lack thereof of female filmmakers in the competition, Gerwig stressed that things are also evolving. I've been making movies and going to film festivals for 20 years. This has never not been a question. The numbers are increasing, and it's certainly moving in the right direction. Every year, I cheer when more and more women are represented. This year's competition section includes 21 films, only 4 of which are directed by women. The tallies are to just 90% of this year's competition titles being helmed by women. Last year's edition includes 7 films directed by women, plus a Palme d'Or win for Justine Triet, only the 3rd woman to win the festival's top prize. And the 77th edition brings down representation to 2021 levels. The ongoing war in Gaza came up when a question was asked to the jury about Cannes' decision to ban protests on the Procet. Pier Francesco Favino referred to the festival as a free space. And I say free space, I'm not just physical space. It's also the possibility of time. One of the most difficult things we could do is seek beauty, reminding the world that there is beauty in the world with filmmakers. Movies can talk to people, and if we look for beauty, then we might look for peace. Labor unrest is also a hot-button topic, with French collective Sous les Grands Déchets calling for a strike. The organization is protesting its pending changes in labor policies that will see their unemployment and indemnities slashed by more than half. No! But those people are always getting unemployed because it's like a gig. It's a gig thing. You do gigs. You're not like, you can't be employed by one film for 50 years, you know? That's not a thing. I certainly support labor movements, and we've certainly gone through this just now with our own unions. I hope that the festival workers can move on agreement that is good for them and supports the festival. Lastly, the jury was asked about the prospect of seeing a film, The Apprentice, following the life of young Donald Trump, and whether it's possible to be completely objective when watching it. Unlikely. But okay, pause here for a second. Nobody is objective. You can try your hardest to be as high as possible to 100% objectivity. You never can be. The point of being a judge is that you are bringing your own point of view into a reason something is good or bad or worthy of reward. And that means you do have to have a bias, whether it is your own beliefs or just you being you. Your life has created your own bias. You know what? I didn't like that film about tigers because my mom got mauled by a tiger, you know? You know, maybe that's biased.
Right.
But that's just how the life works, so... Just want to say, don't worry about objectivity. It's not real. It doesn't exist. We're not robots. We can't turn off the bias button. I try to come to every film I see with an open mind and heart, and I'm willing to be surprised. I don't want to make assumptions as to what The Apprentice is. Sometimes a film ends up being about something completely different. I look forward to watching it, Greta Gerwig had said. The 77th Cannes Film Festival kicks off today. It has kicked off. This article is from Tuesday, so the Cannes Festival has kicked off. I don't know how long it runs for. I'm guessing into the weekend, and then it probably ends after that, because that's what they just want to lead in to the weekend, and then drop all the stuff in the weekend, and then see you later, guys. So look, keep your eye on that over the weekend if you're interested in any of the 21 films? The 21 films that are being looked at by the jury. Because it's a great... Also, the great thing about these award shows and festivals and film festivals is that it's a great place to find new films that you may have never watched. You know, they don't... A lot of films at the festival don't get, you know, crazy ad blocks on, you know, YouTube or something. You see them because you hear about them, so you have even a little inclination in the being off the path in film, check out the films here, and I guess this day in history.
Okay, this day in history, and of course I made a mistake. I erred, which I do. It's pronounced Cannes, just Cannes, like a Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
The S is silent, but it's pronounced Cannes. Cannes, yeah. All right, I stand corrected. Actually, I sit corrected. On this day in history, what happened? 1510 on this day. Let's make sure we got the right day here, because I was looking at tomorrow, which tomorrow is the anniversary of the Mount St. Helens blew off in 1980. So, you know, 44 years of that since Mount St. Helens blew, and it's still in the same place. Anyway, on this day in 1518, May 17th, Italian artist Sandro Botticelli, one of the greatest painters of the Florentine Renaissance, died, which is cool. I mean, I remember there's a line in a Bob Dylan song about Botticelli's niece, and I was like, Botticelli, yeah, I know his niece. It's from a song. A song called When I Paint My Masterpiece, by the way. It's about Rome, basically. 1792, meeting on what is now Wall Street in New York City, 24 businessmen took the initial steps of forming the New York Stock Exchange. So the New York Stock Exchange hits 40,000 on the anniversary of its conception, right? Which is 1792, which is way over 200 years ago. 232 years ago. 1866, French composer Eric Satie, whose spare, unconventional, often witty style exerted a major influence on the 20th century music, was born in Honfleur. Plane flying right over that house. 1875, the first Kentucky Derby was run at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, and the winning horse was Aristides. In 1900, Alfred Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz first published and became a classic of children's literature. A 1939 film adaptation is amongst the most beloved movies in American cinema. And it's probably about a opium dream he had. You know, there's big fields of poppies in there. That's very symbolic. 1918, Swedish operatic soprano Bridget Nielsen, not the big tall model, a different Bridget Nielsen, who is celebrated as a Wagnerian in Vostra Karup. I think that's how it's pronounced. 1939, the first television sporting event in the United States, a collegiate baseball game between Princeton and Columbia, aired on NBC. 1996, U.S. President Bill Clinton signed Megan's Law, which required that law enforcement officials notify local schools, daycare centers, and residents of the presence of registered sex offenders in their communities. And of course, we've expanded registered sex offenders to include just about everybody. So, I'm sorry. Somebody, I always have trouble with these things. Like, with a 19-year-old had sex with a 17-year-old girlfriend. He's a registered sex offender. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not really. Anyway. 2004, Massachusetts became the first U.S. state to legalize same-sex marriage as it began issuing marriage license to gay couples. So, congratulations on Massachusetts setting the bar.
Getting that tax benefit.
1954. What's that?
I said, yeah, getting that tax benefit.
It is a tax benefit. You get more marriage license fees. You can even raise them, and they won't even care.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever, we'll pay the fee. Of course, the real reason is because when civil arrangements don't always hold up in court as far as wills and whatnot, so the families of the deceased will challenge the will and say they weren't married, so yeah. Anyway, it gets messy, so yeah, get married. Jeez, if you can stand somebody enough to marry them, good for you, right? School segregation outlawed by the U.S. Supreme Court on this day in 1954. On this day in 1954, lawyer Thurgood Marshall scored a landmark victory. U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled in Brown versus Board of Education in Topeka that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. Of course, the Plessy versus Ferguson decision was handed down on May 18th. So that anniversary is tomorrow. That was the Plessy-Ferguson in 1896 that established separate but equal. So, and almost the same day in 1854, they struck that down. And our featured biography, Edward Jenner. No, not Bruce Jenner, not Caitlyn Jenner. Edward Jenner, English surgeon. Born May 17th, 1749 in Berkeley, England. And he was passed away in Berkeley, England. Also stayed there a long time, being a doctor. He had probably stayed in the same village his whole life. In 1823 at the age of 73. Other featured birthdays: Eric Satie, French composer. Alfonso was born in 1866. 1886 is the birthday of Alfonso the 13th, King of Spain. 1936, birthday of Dennis Hopper, American actor, director, and writer. Easy Rider fame. Hoosiers fame. 1936 was his birthday. 1956, the birthday of Sugar Ray Leonard, American boxer and commentator. And 1971 is the birthday, happy birthday to Maxima, Queen Consort of the Netherlands. So yeah, you got a Queen Consort birthday today. She turns 53.
Wow.
Happy 53. Make sure you get her a cake. And
we already ate all the today?
Hopefully we know it's National Endangered Species Day, which is the third Friday in May. It's National Pack Rat Day, which I am a bit of that. Know any real pack rats, boy. Those folks, they don't throw anything away. Anything. All the receipts, they don't throw them away. I'll need that Walmart receipt for 1975 someday. Cherry Cobbler Day. It's National Cherry Cobbler Day. It's National Defense Transportation Day. Hold on to your hats, there's more. It's National Pizza Party Day. Cherry Cobbler, Pizza Party. Wow. National Bike to Work Day and National Bike to School Day. Okay, National Bike to Work Day is the third Friday in May, and National Bike to School Day changes annually. It doesn't say, it just randomly apply it. So I guess they're just combining them both today because they're both on a Friday. I don't know. National Pizza Party Day is also the third Friday in May. The third Friday in May is very popular.
I love pizza parties. That was
National
the best thing
Defense
as a kid,
Transportation Day is also.
Party.
Oh yeah, man. Get 5 different types of pizza, cram them on your plate, load it down with that hard Parmesan cheese. It's National Walnut Day. It's National NASCAR Day, which is also the third Friday in May. It's National Idaho Day, which probably is arbitrary. It's Malcolm X Day, is the third Friday in May also. Malcolm X Day, just not his birthday, just the third Friday in May. It's National Graduation Tassel Day on May 17th, which is a tad early for some schools, but I think the colleges start graduating in May. So those are all of your days. Holy crap. All of your days that are fit to print on May 17th, 2024 on Before Cherry Cobbler.
Cherry Cobbler. Oh yeah. Okay, this has been
Before You Bike to Work.
Here from the Netherlands. I hope you have a good Friday and a good weekend. We will see you back on Mucking Fun Day because everyone loves Mondays. Reminder, if there's any news stories you do want us to cover on the show, you can always comment on either the YouTube video in the comments. You can join my Discord and do it there, or I don't know, bother us on social media. Any of those will work if you want us to cover any news stories, because we, search for news stories for quite a while. That 15-minute timer basically is sometimes that whole 20 minutes of us looking for news stories. So if you want to help us out, we'll help you out. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, turn on that notification bell so you can get notified when we go live. Now here is your mic drop moment.
Save the best for last, right? Or third, or whatever I am. I don't know how many people have been here before me. It all blends together, kind of like Adam's movies. Hey, buddy. When they asked me to say a few words about my friend Adam, I immediately said, whatever. Where is it? Oh, D.C. Yeah, typical Sandler. I never get cast in his movies in Hawaii or South freaking Africa, but oh, D.C., yeah, let's get the Boosh on a bus and get him down here. That's what he calls me, Boosh. Makes no sense. I've never understood that, I'm sorry. So congratulations, buddy, you got your big comedy award. Comedy, am I right? Man, I was a serious actor before I met you, man. I did edgy indies. Have you ever tried that? In a way, I'm not talking about playing yourself in unedited gems. I mean, yeah, you were good in it, but the whole time I was watching you in it, I was thinking, stay in your lane, water boy. Anyway, I suppose I should read these words that the writers texted me this morning. Thank you. He doesn't act like a movie star. He doesn't look like one either, I mean. And he actually sucks at golf, okay? It's more like crappy Gilmore. Hey-o! But seriously, all drinking aside, I love you, Adam.
Love you, buddy.
Nobody makes me laugh like you, and nobody has taken better care of me in this business than you. And it's, yeah, he does this. He does this for all his friends. He's done it for so many people. All the guys that you came up with, they're either writing or directing or producing or acting in your films. I love it when you scream shit at me off camera, like funny things to say, and I just try and say them like you. And then when I hear you laugh at the funny thing you told me to say, I'm in heaven. No, I love it. I love it. But for me, I think the best part of working with Adam, with you, is just getting to hang out with you, man. Congratulations, Adam. You are deservedly getting this award for your legendary career. And knowing you and your talent and your big heart, the best is yet to come. Now, can I please go to Hawaii with you next time? Okay. Congratulations. I love you.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.